With the 26th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love, quarterback.
The cycle is now complete. Aaron Rodgers now faces the very same situation he was once on the other side of 15 years ago. Preparing for the eventual departure of a franchise legend is never easy, but it must be done to ensure a proper succession and prevent a mad scramble to find the team's next face of the franchise. Some teams choose to groom their heir apparent for a season by allowing them to learn the offense and be under no obligation to immediately save the team. In rare instances, a quarterback prospect is held on tight for the first 3 years of their rookie contract before finally being handed the keys to the team, or traded at the 11th hour to maximize the player's value. You see teams like the Chiefs and Ravens letting their QB prospects marinate a little under elite coaching and an experienced starter before unleashing them against NFL defenses. Whereas teams like the Bears and Jets throw their prospects to the Wolves and pray that their quarterback can be an immediate impact kind of player. No quarterback can attest to the very idea of sitting and waiting than one Aaron Rodgers, buying his time sitting under the legendary Brett Favre before having himself a Hall of Fame level career. It's a big shoes to fill for Love, but he has comfort in knowing that his predecessor too shared a similar story as Love now does. But first we have to go back to that green room in New York, where Aaron is about to experience the greatest heartbreak of his life. This is a young Aaron Rodgers, the University of Cal product hoping to live out his childhood dream of playing quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. He will be betrayed by his childhood team and forced to wait over 5 hours before he would get to hear his name be called. Finally, at 24th overall, Rodgers was drafted to the Green Bay Packers to be the successor to Brett Favre. To that point, the 36-year-old Favre had been toying with the idea of retirement and was unsure if he wanted to return for another season. The Packers, unwilling to play Favre's games, decided to prepare for the future by investing their first-round pick on Rodgers. It made sense. If your quarterback is at least pondering retirement and can't commit to being there next season, then you could be left scrambling for a quarterback the second he chooses to hang up the cleats. With the quarterback position no longer in jeopardy, the Packers could move on with the aging Favre and have Rodgers ready to go after sitting and learning from the Hall of Fame quarterback. When Favre decided to retire for the first time in 2008, Rodgers was now the future and the team was in good hands. That situation made sense, right? Well, now you have the case of Jordan Love, whose selection by the Packers makes no sense in comparison to when Aaron was drafted. This is Jordan Love, the Utah State product and considered the draft's biggest wildcard by many scouts. Could some quarterback-needy team be desperate enough to reach for him, or would Love have to wait until the mid-rounds to hear his name be called? He would avoid the latter fate. Love was drafted in the first round of the draft. But by the Green Bay Packers? The Packers had traded up with the Dolphins for the 25th pick in the draft to select someone they really loved, Jordan Love. Unlike the Favre situation, Rodgers had no intentions or even any public comments about a potential retirement. He was locked in on playing quarterback for the Packers next season. The Packers had a 13-3 record and made the NFC Championship game. If anything, it proved that with some more weapons around Rodgers, one last run in the Super Bowl could be possible. Yet the Packers felt that they needed a contingency plan behind Rodgers and that now was the time to strike. This brings up a dilemma. Sit Love for 3 years, whose pick could have been used to draft a skill position impact player, or sit Love for a year and get rid of the franchise legend after everything he's done. The rest of this is purely hypothetical, but what could happen to the Packers if the Love experiment fails or succeeds? Say, best case scenario, Love sits under Rodgers for 3 years and is finally handed the reins in his final contract year and lights up the league. That's great that Love was truly worth the pick, but then he'd demand elite quarterback money after only 1 season of elite production. Jimmy Garoppolo got the record-breaking contract after only 5 starts, and with the rising QB contracts every year, Love could get quite pricey for 1 year of production. But say the Packers do find a way to keep Love and he does turn out to be the second coming of Aaron Rodgers, then the Packers would have found the secret formula to drafting back-to-back Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks. The NFC North would collectively groan as the Packers would yet again get 10+ years of great quarterback play. All of a sudden, the strategy around the league would shift to drafting project quarterbacks, letting them sit behind your aging quarterbacks in the hope that allowing your prospect to sit and learn positively impacts their development. Sounds like a risk worth taking. But what if Love doesn't pan out in the long run? With every quarterback prospect, there is the high chance that they will bust at the NFL level, and all the capital you spent to acquire them, including the time waiting for them to break out, was all for nothing. Love is under the intense pressure of having 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks play before him, and if he can't live up to that level, he will be crucified for it. There is an old story about Giovanni Carmazzi, a quarterback drafted to be the successor of Hall of Fame quarterbacks Steve Young and Joe Montana for the 49ers. He'd fizzle out at the NFL level and never played up to the expectations of what a 49ers quarterback should be. But in that same draft at pick 199, one Tom Brady was drafted to the New England Patriots. If Love cannot play like Aaron Rodgers and some other quarterbacks taken after him make meaningful careers in the NFL, the Packers will never hear the end of it. To have wasted a highly valued draft choice on someone who wouldn't have an immediate impact in the middle of your contention window would be an embarrassing display. To waste the last remaining years of your franchise's legendary quarterback looking to get one last ring before he retires. The Packers were not at 500, there was no panic that Rodgers was thinking of retiring soon. They were 13-3 and made the NFC Championship game. It makes sense to plan ahead for the future of the quarterback position, but not with your best asset. You had a season where you nearly made the Super Bowl. Now there's the potential that the front office has lost faith in Rodgers and Rodgers has lost faith in the front office. This could only lead to a painful divorce which resembles Brett Favre coming out of retirement to play for the Jets. At least with Favre, you could argue that he had the Packers handcuffed with his decision of whether or not to retire. There is no excuse for trying to replace Rodgers when the team is coming off one of their best seasons. Love will have to face all this pressure simply because he was drafted to Green Bay. A lot of jobs will either be saved or lost due to his performance when he gets on the field. The Jordan Love experiment is a high-risk, high-reward move. If he is given the time like Rodgers was and he's great, then everything is fine in Green Bay. If Love cannot live up to the success of his predecessors, he will be forever known as the pick wasted during the last years of Aaron Rodgers' push for a second ring. Packer management would be forever ridiculed for their mishandling of the roster-building strategy by neglecting the now in the hopes of building for a future that's already in front of them. Now, to be fair to Love, none of this is his fault, and he'll have a chip on his shoulder since day one simply because of the situation he was drafted into. It'll be up to him to silence the doubters and prove he was worth taking over anyone else in his draft class. Love's got possibly the biggest expectations to fulfill in Green Bay, and if he can live up to those expectations, the NFC North will have to prepare for another decade of Packer dominance.